I bought 100,000 road spikes, and we're going to see how far they can go. We'll start with 5,000 piles and let that cruise through the rounds. I mean, it's pretty obvious that these starting balloons are not going to get through this wall of over 100,000 individual spikes, but while those are chugging away, I did the most painful thing you can think of in balloons. Yes, I used all of my precious tier 5 Insta Monkeys for no reason. I thought I would never use them, but I really wanted to get that instant gratification achievement. We had a nice range of monkeys, including a carrier flagship, preemptive strike submarine, legend of the night, crossbow master, permacharge boomerang, avatar of wrath, and a super mine spactory. Luckily, these cover every type of balloon, so we don't have to worry about anything simple like camos or DDTs, just straight up popping power. And we're going to see how far these can go. Obviously past round 100, but hopefully to 200 so we can get a second Insta Monkey. Back to the 5,000 road spikes, it managed to crush everything, not showing any weaknesses until the 60s, and even here around 63 scared me. It chunked away at our spikes with its 3 waves of ceramics, making huge dents with each rush. But we defended and went into the just as scary round 64 that has 6 normal mobs and 3 fortified ones. I had no idea that just 5,000 spike piles would even make it this far, but we put down almost the exact amount to pop the final mob. And since we just placed down 5,000 spikes, I figured we'd up the ante and put down 15,000 this time. It was clear that this was never intended to happen, as after placing just 7,000 spikes, the game slowed way down and got even worse once we were in the 5 digits. Luckily, my computer was doing just fine, it was just maxing out BTD sick. But while we get those placed, let's check back in our Insta. They crushed round 100, which was expected as these towers are worth over $300,000, but I did not expect them to destroy rounds like 126 with such ease. Maybe it's the easy map or the surprisingly good chemistry between the towers, but it was getting close to the point of our prediction. You see, I streamed this on Twitch and we were betting on if this would die before or after round 150. Let me know what you think down below. Speaking of obnoxiously good damage, I had one more stupid idea with powers to test, and it was how many tiers of Bloonarius 1,000 super monkey storms could beat all on their own. This was mainly because I'd never used one of these before and I wanted to see their true potential. Apparently they do 2300 damage to every balloon on screen, meaning it's pretty wasteful to start, but later on each storm will be doing work. My entire plan for this was to let the balloons get as close to the exit as possible and then use a storm to pop as many balloons as we can with each use. And then when Bloonarius comes out, spam the heck out of them until he's gone. Would it be more efficient to use mob mines on Bloonarius and the super monkey storms on these swarms of balloons? Probably, but I didn't think of that until after I recorded this. Back to the spikes, we just got the 15,000 spike piles down and we're ready to hit play again. I made sure to place tons of spikes near the front because of the super low frame rate that the spikes were causing, and we were plowing through the rounds once again. Endless waves of BFBs and mobs were sent our way, rarely even making a dent in the enormous wall of spikes, but eventually they did whittle it down and we were back to placing more spikes. Boom! One auto clicker created, one night of non-stop placing spikes, and 30,000 spike piles later, we are ready to hit play again. It is wild that 5,000 spike piles made it to round 65, then 15,000 more only made it to 82. So how far can doubling that to 30,000 make it? Well, that's what I'm here to find out. And if you thought the lag on the last part was bad, check this out. We've been fast forwarding the footage to make it look not awful, but in reality, it looked like this. Hence why I once again front-loaded the track so much, so we didn't have to wait 4 years for the balloons to get popped. In the early 90s, it sped up a ton as tens of thousands of RBE were sent each round, but that means that our spike piles were quickly running out. I was super worried about DDTs shooting through, but their low HP proved to be a piece of cake for the spikes, and it was the sheer amount of BFBs and ZOMGs that I really needed to be worried about. Every time a few of those came along, they chunked through our wall, eventually busting through on round 94. So it's time to place the rest of the spikes. Yes, all 50,000 that are remaining, which means another auto clicker and another night of placing spikes while I sleep. I was afraid that the game would crash and I'd lose all the spikes that I placed in between these rounds, but I was willing to roll those dice in the name of science. While that gets set up, our Insta Monkeys finally hit a snag in the late 130s. Round 138 got much farther than expected with its super fast reinforced DDTs, but we eventually took them down. Then round 139 was a piece of cake as the mobs barely even made it on screen with all of our upfront damage, and round 140 is what did us in, as the reinforced bad took too long to pop the outer layer and the Legend of the Night's black hole did not last long enough. I was hoping that the bad wouldn't get popped at all and it would just get swallowed up by the black hole, but we had more damage than I thought. Anyway, round 140 is nothing to be ashamed about, and this experiment let me make the best trade deal in history by trading away 8 tier 5 Insta Monkeys to get a Hbomb back in return. As for the Super Monkey Storms, it went exactly as one would expect. It one-shot every Bloon, including ceramic. 2 of them would break ZOMGs down to BFBs, 1 would break BFBs down to mobs, and 1 more would break those mobs into ceramics. Unfortunately, Super Monkey Storms don't pierce blimp layers, so each ZOMG would take 5 storms to bring down. But the real doozy was each boss. I'm not gonna lie, I just turned off fast forward and spammed away at each boss sighting, and it looked something like this. But the fun part of this challenge was that neither chat nor I could see how many Super Monkey Storms we had left, so we were completely blind to see how far we could get. That being said, we managed to get all the way to the tier 5 boss, and this was the epic ending. All right, tier 5. Oh my god. No, we're out! We're out! Oh, what a tragedy! And finally, we get to watch round 94 and up impale themselves on 50,000 spikes. Once again, this is sped up as these 5 rounds took over 20 minutes for them to go 1/4 of the track, but this is the end of the spikes and we'll see how many rounds it can pop. My reward for spending a few $100 on road spikes was a mortar monkey, but the bigger prize was completing a no monkey Impoppable run. Worth it, I guess, but we are not done yet as we still have thousands of spikes down and free play Bloons to pop. Round 101 was a breeze with its purples, ceramics, and mobs only adding up to 20,000 RBE, but round 102, well, that turned out to be a bit tougher. Out of all this, 1 zebra Bloon got through our defenses. Sure, we still had to pop an entire reinforced ZOMG, but that part's not important. What is that we still had 3 spikes on the track and the zebra managed to squeak by because of how long it took to break its ceramic armor. Really a huge letdown as we lost before those 3 spikes were even used. Anyway, now we know that with full monkey knowledge, 100,000 road spikes can beat Impoppable.